So I've got a question for you. I produce lots of videos and articles and all sorts of stuff to promote the Betfair betting exchange. So how much do you think that they paid me last year to do all of that? If you're interested in learning to trade on Betfair, then visit the BetAngel Academy, where you have detailed, structured Betfair trading courses. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon if you want notification of new videos as they're released. So, I very often produce articles, blog posts, videos. I've attended events, done talks, done some press work, TV, radio, all many different things to promote trading on betting exchanges. And I'm going to answer your question on how much do I earn a little bit later in this video, but it's important to start with to give you a bit of background that leads up to that particular point. Now, one of the reasons I decided to do this video is very often, it's a question that gets lobbed at me. And I was looking at a video the other day on Betfair's YouTube channel, and it said on there, don't listen to this guy, he gets paid by Betfair to drive customers to their business. And I thought, well, you know what, that's not true. And I think it's worth doing a video to address that. But more specifically, all of the different facets of what I do and my incentives and stuff like that. Because my journey has always been very different from everybody else's. If you don't know what that journey is, I will summarize it for you now. But when I was young, I did work in gambling markets, but I realized that there was no way that I could make that pay because of all the restrictions and problems you have with bookmakers. Went to financial markets and then ended right back at gambling markets, simply because of the opportunity that betting exchanges presented. I quit my well-paid job with 3 children, a wife and a mortgage to do this full time. And it was because it was an opportunity of a lifetime for me. And necessarily I had to take it. But the problem back then was that nobody knew about the concept. And when you would go to people and say, I've got this great concept, as soon as you mentioned the word betting, gambling, or anything to do with that, people immediately switched off. So it was a real problem to get any traction within the industry. But it seemed such an obvious concept, much better than a bookmaker, allowed you to do a whole range of things that you couldn't, and for the first time in your life you could actually bet on something for a living. There was a demonstrable chance that you could do that, whereas you couldn't with a traditional bookmaker. So I started talking about it. So before BetAngel was born, before I had any sort of relationship with Betfair, I was going around financial market exhibitions and shows and talks and talking about the concept, and it was really simple to summarize to that particular audience, because I was saying, you know what, you can trade the sports market the same way that you trade the stock market. Simple line, but that really got the concept across. But the problem was it was quite difficult to do in the early days, because there was a website and you'd have to type in the orders on the website. It didn't really work very well. So fairly quickly into my betting exchange trading career, I figured out that you needed to create software. So I went around all of my contacts that I knew and friends, asking them if they wanted to come on board with this, but nobody would, because again, you mentioned the word bet and people switch off immediately. So I was doing a talk in Lombard Street in the City of London when I got into dialogue with somebody who was at that talk. We started chatting, he was a developer, and BetAngel was born. So to answer one question straight away, yes, I am going to promote BetAngel. I'm very proud of what we've managed to achieve. And it is a business, but ultimately its creation is very different from all of the other software that you see out of there. I could see the potential, I could see the opportunity, and BetAngel was created to exploit that. Originally, when I had dialogue with this guy, we just sort of started creating it. I'd gone and spoken to other people, but couldn't get what I wanted. We started with this guy, and as soon as he began to see the potential of what was possible, he wanted to do all of this stuff as well. But we're at an early stage in the industry, and he'd never traded before, and he was under contract. So we came up with this plan that basically we would sell subscriptions to the software, and hopefully that would the payments we got from that would be enough to get him out of his existing contract and to develop full time. Now the reality is, if we'd have known how well the trading would have gone, we may never have commercialized the product, but that was ultimately the decision that we made, and that's how BetAngel was born. We didn't turn up 10 years later and say, oh, look at all of this activity around Betfair trading, let's create a product that we can sell into that market. We were there creating the opportunity right at the very beginning, and that's a process that continues to today. We put as much money back into the product for development so that we can continue to push the product forward, and it's become something completely different from where we started. If you'd have asked me back then, when I first started on Betfair, that I'd be around 20 years later, I would have thought that was just impossible. And also BetAngel, maybe we thought we'd have 20 customers perhaps. But as the product has developed, it's become an amalgam of ideas that we've had that we think would take the market forward, and feedback from our customers. And I'm really grateful for the way that has developed and the way that it has moved forward. And a few years ago, I reorganized the company so that it could exist even without me, because really it's taken on a life of its own, and it's the product of all of our customers now, and not an invention by me any longer. So yeah, very proud of the product, and I am going to promote it. I make no apologies for that. It's a great piece of software, and hopefully we can take it on to another level and let it develop itself going on into the future. But let's get back to that question about what incentive do I get from Betfair? How much do you think that I got paid last year for all of the promotional work that I did for the Betfair betting exchange? Well, the amount that I got paid last year for doing all of that work and being a software developer and doing all of those wonderful things was, drum roll please, 0. Zilch, nada, null. I got nothing. I didn't get paid a penny for doing any work. No affiliate commissions, no direct funding, no fees for articles or videos or anything like that at all. There was absolutely zero revenue. In fact, it works the other way around. I can't remember what my premium charge statement was last week, but I will bring up how much I paid in premium charge last week and put it on the screen. I actually pay Betfair, which is sort of slightly bizarre really. Sometimes when you look at it, you sort of think that at least some of that money would flow back to me in terms of incentive, or even sort of as a thank you really. But I've just learned over the years that that's not how the industry works. The industry is structured in such a way that doesn't happen. With the accounts that I have with brokers in the city and other stuff that I deal with, there's a sort of a marketing budget that comes off of the commission or fees that you pay that nearly always end up back at you somehow in terms of a thank you or an invite to an event or a Christmas dinner or something like that. But Betfair aren't particularly proactive on that. I'll leave you to decide if you think that's fair or the right thing to do. But ultimately, I didn't get paid a penny last year for all of that. And you're sort of thinking, you fool, Peter, you should be demanding all of these sort of things. But over the years, I've begun to realise that a lot of the betting industry is funded by those below-the-line sort of contributions. So a lot of tipping sites that you see, a lot of advice sites, and people pretending to help you are actually getting a backhander effectively via affiliate commissions or whatever from the bookmaker or the betting exchange or something like that. So the problem that creates is a distorted incentive. People will get you to do things even though they know that it's wrong, just so that they get that commission. So I've sort of gradually grown quite uncomfortable with that and wanted to be different. I'm in a fortunate position that my trading has gone so well over time that I don't really need that hassle. But also the money that I've made from trading I've invested, and those two things together keep me more than busy. And like I said, that having another stream from it within there may be possible, but I think that brings other incentives with it that I feel somewhat uncomfortable with now, despite the fact that it's not there anyway. But I sort of have to question, should I be going down that route anyway? Now, it's not impossible that at some point in the future I may need to fund ahead or something that I may need to buy in where I will get funding. But certainly I'll be as clear as I can with anything that I do, whether it's been funded or not. And in fact, I have turned down funding for a number of things that I've done in the last few years, some of which you will have seen, that's very specific to one company or another. But I decide that it's better not to have that money than to have a distorted incentive. And so, like, for example, when I went to the Matchbook Traders Conference, they offered me a fee for going there, but because it was talking positively about betting exchanges, I just did it anyway. And I wanted a platform where I could talk openly and honestly without the fear of, somebody pressuring me into saying something that I didn't want to say. And I've sort of felt that is probably the most appropriate way to do things. But yeah, if you want to know, am I incentivized to talk about Betfair, betting exchanges and all of those things? Yes, I am, because it's been what I've been doing for a living for 20 years. And I always feel, funny enough, that people just don't get it. And, all of the work that I've done, when I wake up in the morning, the thing that really gets me going is I'm trying to solve a complicated problem. Something looks intractable, and I'm sort of thinking, can I solve this issue? Is there a way of, and when I do, that's the biggest buzz that I get. Now, I'm lucky in that by doing that, it generally produces something at the bottom line, and that's ultimately how you get measured. When you're in a trading or betting market, your long-term P&L is how you get measured. That's the ultimate measure of success. But in fact, my motivation for that end result, it faded a long time ago, and it's more the process of doing something interesting and exciting, seeing where that road leads. That's what has motivated me for a large number of years. And I sort of feel like there's still stuff to be done and to be discovered. I keep finding month after month little areas to explore and stuff that I hadn't spotted before, and that sets me off on another journey. So who knows where that goes? Who knows where I go? Most of the journey that I've had to this particular point has sort of not been preordained. I've just sort of almost followed my nose, but I've learned to quite enjoy that feeling and see where it takes you. Will I get funding at some point in the future? It'd be interesting to see, but at the moment I can assure you that it actually goes the other way around, and even if I did get something, I guarantee you it would be nowhere near the amount of commission that I'm paying in that direction. But I thought it was worth sort of doing a little video to highlight that point, but also to be able to bring up this video when people sort of question that at some point in the future and show them what the actual reality is, because it's very far removed from what you'd typically expect. Anyhow, I hope that's explained that for you. I'd like to thank you for being a BetEngine customer or watching this video, and I look forward to bringing you more content in the near future.